Now, I'm not telling any of you to go and do this. In fact, I'm going to give you an example. When Swiss balls or stability balls started to trend in fitness, circa 2000, 2001, 2002, there is a really popular, what today we would call influencer. We didn't have social media like we do back then. We had discussion boards and websites, but a significant influencer was a physical therapist, and he was making the rounds to all of the health and wellness expositions, so expos, conferences, trade shows, and was doing demos of different stuff on the stability ball or Swiss ball. And he got up and squatted on one in front of a big room of people and wiped out and tore his ACL. Another example of that, I had one of my former coaches and trainers who was in med school, came to visit, was training, was squatting on a Swiss ball. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, you're in med school. Let's find a different way to work balance, not one where you can fall and hit your head and end up having wasted all these years of education, right? So let's take the Swiss ball squat and let's take it a step further, because this single concept can really change how you look at everything you do. Removing the danger, right? Let's just remove that. Compare and contrast squatting on a Swiss ball body weight versus squatting like Jeff, one of my former athletes, who then worked for me as a trainer and coach, and today is a head strength and conditioning coach for a large university in Southern California. What's going to build larger muscle? Again, with a physique contest, a physique competitor, whether you're bikini or figure or wellness or women's physique or bodybuilding, the goal is going to be more muscle. How are you going to build more muscle? Training intensely with a heavy weight, say 500 pounds. Now, obviously, that's not in the cards if you're a 120-pound female, but this is an exaggerated example to really make the point. How are you going to build a larger muscle? Squatting body weight on a Swiss ball or squatting 500 pounds? Obviously, the 500 pounds. So anytime we're looking to build a physique, we're looking to build muscle mass, we don't want to introduce things that will force us to reduce the amount of weight that we train with. Okay. And again, I'm not saying anybody should go, like, I don't think most on here are going to squat over 500. Some of the men that are about 180, 200 pounds might. I used to, can't do that anymore. But I wanted to use that example to really make the point. What's going to build a bigger muscle? Squatting with your body weight or a few hundred pounds? Obviously, the few hundred pounds. And this mistake here costs competitors a lot of muscle mass. Just because you worked hard doesn't mean you built muscle, right? Just because you leave the gym tired doesn't mean you're going to have a stage worthy physique. This is a great example as well. You can't judge a workout by how much you sweat. So we used to have spin classes in my club, and we had a dedicated spin room. And the back wall of the spin room was windows, and people from the general area and in the fitness areas of the gym could see into the spin room. And we had a guy named Bill, and the members affectionately named him Back Row Bill. Bill would do the spin class, and we could see through the window, and Bill would always be in the back row right by the windows, hardly pedaling. Hardly pedaling. Like the instructor would be up front, headset on, over the loudspeaker, music pumping. All right, everybody stand up. All right, everybody sprint. Back row Bill would be just sitting, barely moving his feet on the pedals. Bill would come out of that room drenched, soaked. It looked like he showered with his clothes on. I mean, oh, look at how much I sweat. That workout was incredible. This is great. Whatever. Well, the reality of it is that room was closed off. You had 20 people in there producing a ton of BTUs because of exercise. The room temperature, the ambient temperature in the room would go up from, say, 70-ish degrees Fahrenheit up to maybe 80 some degrees, 90 degrees. And Bill would be the benefactor sitting there in his cotton shorts and cotton t-shirt soaked in sweat just because it was hot. So sweat's not a marker of progress. Even if Bill was working hard, sweat is not a marker of progress. Another one is, I could really feel the burn, right? My muscles are on fire. I got a great pump. My heart rate monitor shows my heart rate was way up here. Those things are not necessarily bad, but we want bigger muscle. And we want to look at it as better is best. Just because you sweat more means nothing. None of these things tell me you stimulated your muscle in a way that you gave it the signal to grow. They tell me you worked hard, but those are two completely different things. If, in fact, if I wanted to make every one of you exhausted in the next 20 minutes, I could. We could do burpees and jump squats and mountain climbers and high knees and med ball slams and battle ropes, and we can do it in a circuit fashion and take no rest between circuits. You'd all be smoked. We would even see this with athletes we trained. I would have parents be like, well, my kid trained over here and he threw up. Well, great. Where does your kid throw up on the track, the volleyball court, the softball field? They don't. If the goal is to vomit, we can make you vomit, but that doesn't mean you're better. And that doesn't mean that, you build larger shoulders or fuller glutes. It doesn't mean your back's any wider. In bodybuilding, physique contest, it's not a conditioning contest. It's a physique contest. It's an adaptation contest. The goal isn't to leave tired. The goal isn't to leave smoked. The goal isn't to be sore. The goal is to give your muscles a reason to become better than they were yesterday. So sweat, soreness, exhaustion aren't how we measure progress. And we're going to talk about how we measure progress in a second. But first, a quick, subtle reminder. These cute things should be saved for rehab where they belong. Nobody built killer glutes, hamstrings, and quads using them. Nobody built round, full, lifted, firm, toned, sculpted glutes, lifting cute 1, 2, or 3 neoprene or silicone coated dumbbells. They never have, and they never will. And did I mention legs win contests? So if you want to build a stage-worthy physique, you're going to need more muscle mass, especially in your glutes, hamstrings, quads, and calves. That's where shows are won. Another mistake, thinking training ends when you leave the gym. Like we work out, we recover, we adapt, we build larger muscles, we start down that path to a new physique, a new stage-worthy physique. You don't build muscle while you're training. The workout creates the stimulus. Recovery takes care of the adaptation. The adaptation is going to change your physique. Think about plants. If you plant a seed, the work isn't over. You have to water it. It needs sunlight. It needs nutrients. It needs time. Training works the exact same way for the human body. Your workout is simply planting the seed. Recovery determines whether it grows. The amount of protein you consume and when determines how big it grows. Your calories matter, your sleep matters, your stress matters, your hydration matters. You do need to deload occasionally. Recovery isn't separate from training. Recovery is part of the training process. And even if you're recovering well, you still have to build the right physique. What does that mean? If you are training like a marathon runner, or maybe you're training for a marathon, that's going to build a different physique than one that would be considered stage worthy. In fact, most of the time, marathon runners lose muscle mass as the marathon nears. Okay. So training like a marathoner and expecting to look like a figure competitor is never going to work. Training and eating like a power lifter and expecting to look like a bikini competitor, it's not going to work. That's training for the wrong physique. So you have to make sure that the way you're training is in line with what your goals are. And again, we have to set a goal. Back to, you don't want to get in the car, turn on Google Maps or Apple Maps on your phone and randomly start driving. You still have to define the goal. And that goal for physique competitors should be identifying the look of the category or division you intend to enter.